Sometimes, unfortunately, employees do not work out. Hey there, it's Eric J. Olson. It is unfortunate, but it is part of the business. It's part of any business. Sometimes employees just do not work out. And this has happened on many occasions here at Array Digital and at my previous companies. And it's one of those things that people tell you you should hire slow and fire fast. And what they mean by that is you should get to know a candidate for an employment position for a couple of days or weeks, or preferably a couple of months or longer. Like ideally, you would have a relationship with this person for years and then you would hire them. And why would that be the case? Because you want to know what kind of employee you're getting and you want to know all about them and you want them to like let their guard down and you want to see the real true person. But that's rare. I mean, that's a rare situation. Usually you are not hiring slow. Usually you're actually hiring quite fast. And the reason is you have a need. You have a pressing need. Not many businesses have the luxury of hiring well in advance of when they need a person. They need a person, they wait until they need a person now, and then they interview and then they make a decision and they go forward. Now, I would say practically speaking, something in the middle is probably best as far as hiring. Yeah, it'd be great to hire slow. The reality is most hire fast, but I think maybe you should just take your time and evaluate it. You don't have to rush into it. But we're talking about firing here and when employees don't work out. So there's a couple of options here. And again, hire slow, fire fast. That's the common conventional wisdom. But the reality is, again, in reality, it's not very frequent where someone walks in and on day 2 or 3, you're like, that person's a problem, you're fired. Now, if they come in and they say they have a particular skill set, if I'm just going to make something up here. If they say, I know how to make a clear coffee glass, or in this case, a tea, a glass for tea, because I just had tea. And if you're listening and not watching the video on YouTube, I'm holding up a clear glass mug. If they say, I know how to make those, and then you say, okay, cool, you're hired to make clear glass mugs. And they come in and they're like, what? What the hell is, I don't even know what glass is. I don't know I've never made a mug before. What are you talking about? In that particular case, it's so black and white, you can say you're fired, right? And I know business owners that do this. I know someone who does painting, and he'll hire someone to paint window trim as an example. And the person comes in and they can't paint. And on the first day, in the first hour, he says, "You're fired. You told me you could paint. That's why I hired you. And now you can't paint, so you're fired." In our business, it's not quite that clear cut. We usually know what we're getting into with an employee when they come on and what their weaknesses are. But there's always a gray area. And so we have to determine that gray area. And sometimes it just takes a long time. But also here, I've noticed that we give people a lot of passes. So, like as an example, we have a policy that says Kevin and I have an internal policy between the two of us that says if you miss the first month of whatever you're supposed to do, you get an oral warning. Second month, you get a first written warning. Third month, you get a final warning. And then the fourth month, you get termination. That's what we want. That's what we've said. We actually wrote it down, but we give people passes. Why do we give people passes? I don't know. I mean, we probably should be more stringent, but these are also people that we work with day in and day out, and these are good people. We know that they're trying, right? So it's not like someone's like not showing up to work or showing up to work drunk or something like that. They're trying. We have good people, and a lot of times, honestly, there's something in the organization that's a problem. We haven't provided the training. We haven't set the expectations. A lot of times when I look at these things, management, myself, is at fault. So it's hard to pinpoint it, that the problem is with the employee and terminate them when you know there's other things happening in the company. So we give people passes and sometimes more than we should. So look, in a perfect world, that's we would fire very very quickly. Um, Perfect being from the perspective of the employee or employer, I should say, and the company. But the reality is, it's usually slower than we even want it to be. But you know what? If I'm gonna err on one side or the other, I'd rather take my time a little bit in terminations and make sure that I'm doing the right thing. I want to make sure that it's very clear this person is not a fit before I terminate them. And I would recommend you do the same thing. Don't rush into a termination. Forget the conventional wisdom, hire slow, fire fast, unless it's super obvious, but it's usually not. Give the person a warning, give the person a written warning, give them the training that you should be giving them anyways. Set the expectations, hold them accountable, but take your time. Do not be in a rush to terminate, especially when there's more you could have done to make it a better experience for them and for you. Hey there, it's Erik J. Olson. I wanted to let you know about my book, $1 Million Journey: How to Launch a Seven-Figure Business. This is the story of what it took for me to go from freelancer with no clients, no employees, no revenue, to growing $1 million business. It took me 8 years and I made a lot of mistakes. And all of those mistakes, and more importantly, lessons learned, are in this book. And we have chapter takeaways, 5 to 15 takeaways that you can apply right now to your business. Check it out on Amazon, $1 Million Journey by me, Erik J. Olson.